Welcome to another episode of the I Know a Guy podcast. In this episode, I sit down with a true legend in the world of barbecue, Sonny Tillman. Sonny was born in 1929, and at the young age of 93, he shares a story of life, family, and barbecue, offering insight into how he created the top barbecue franchise in the United States in the 80s and 90s, Sonny's Grill Pit Barbecue. I hope you enjoy this podcast with a barbecue icon, the pit master himself, Sonny Tillman.
I've enjoyed life to the fullest.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that. If you look up on the TV screen, that's you.
Oh, yeah.
That's up. Was that the Everglades?
Yeah. That boat, I was on it this weekend.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Now, do you still drive it and everything?
Oh, yeah. And I had to pull it with my pickup truck from here down there to Tamiami Trail. And,
now, you gave me actually some frog legs one time.
well, I got some more if you need them.
Hey, they were good. They were good. And you took, and I don't know much about frog legs really,
Right.
but you put them in Ziploc bags in water, frozen like blocks of ice.
Uh-huh.
And I guess that helps keep them fresh.
Yeah,
So when you
right,
thaw them out, they weren't just frozen. They were actually in water, basically.
Right.
So how often now you used to go down to the Keys a lot as well?
Well, yeah, I went in the Keys a lot. This is in the Everglades.
Okay.
It's between Miami and
Is that Key Largo or
no,
Homestead?
Key Largo was going down in
the other way. Understood.
in the Keys,
Yeah.
but this go west out of Miami toward
Naples or something.
yeah, right, Naples, and it's this big area down there. That boat, and it looks just about like it did then.
You ever see gators out there running around?
Oh yeah,
Even at night when you're gigging?
yeah.
Wow.
We used to see all hogs, we'd see rabbits, coons, everything in the world out there at night. You don't see nothing now. Them snakes about that big around and 15 foot long is eat all the deer, hogs, everything. They've about wiped them out down there.
Wow. And you've seen the snakes out there too?
I've only seen two.
Big size or big?
Yeah, one of them, a gator had caught him, and there was about 4 foot of him hanging out,
Wow.
wagging his tail, trying to get away from the snake. But we don't hardly ever see one. But
Sure.
they doing everything they can to eradicate them. You know, but it's different. It's still a lot of fun. I don't get as many frogs as I used to because I can't see as well.
Well, see, with your outdoor stuff, I've also seen pictures of you fishing, everything.
Right.
Is that something you did growing up from an early age? Is that something that became a hobby later in life?
Well, no, I've always loved to fish. But you're talking about the Keys. I had bought a boat, a 50-foot offshore boat, and I've made a lot of trips down there. I finally bought a house down at Cudjoe Gardens, 21 miles up, and stayed down there a lot. You know, first 3, 4, 5 years I had it, and then it kind of played out, and the housing market went crazy, so I sold it. And in fact, we planning. I got 5 daughters left, and we trying to put together a trip now that we can all get together and go down and spend 2 or 3 days in the Keys, just to see the difference in it and everything, you know.
As far as you've had a big family.
Yeah.
And you say five daughters. I got 2 little girls, and they drive me crazy. They're beautiful, but it's hard.
Well, I tell you what, Ben, you knew my wife
Very well.
I don't know what I'd have done without my daughters. They have just been super. I'm hardly ever alone at the house. Carolyn lives down on Newberry Road out there. She's there every day. Marion's on her way up now from Daytona. Diane comes from Hawthorne. They take the weekends. Amy lives right up on the hill by me there. Terry lives on my little farm out of Velochaway here. And they just, I just don't know what I'd do without them, you know.
That's what family's for.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned Diane. Diane has a restaurant still.
Right. She does. I just had lunch with them. Her and Steve and Amy and her kid Kyle and Carolyn.
Awesome. Well, see, so here's the thing about Sonny's, because I grew up, that was a restaurant that my family would pick up and order, and my parents would bring it home when I was a little boy, and that helped me become a big boy because that garlic bread's good.
Yeah, right.
However, I got to say, though, it did seem to change from what it was in the 90s to later as it sort of became more corporate, and I think everybody does, I suppose, but the garlic bread changed. The baked beans changed a little bit. There just seemed to be some subtle changes.
Well, we didn't know but one way to do it, and it was pretty good that way.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that got it now, they've changed some things, but so have the rules and regulations.
Yeah.
When I started, I had a pit back there, old brick pit, and I had blackjack oak. I cooked on an open fire, you know. Hell, they'd hang you now if you done that. Even back then, I spent $22,000 one time on 13th Street for the environmental people to come down and set up and test everything that went out of my smokestack.
Really?
And I used to say, if you can't smell the smoke, you know, we're not there. Oh, I had to quit that.
Wow.
I mean, they just got real fussy, and the people there, I was well within any rules and regulations they could come up with. So over time, they've changed their rules and regulations.
So take somebody like me, I do like barbecue, and I've tried smoking barbecue.
Right.
And I've had to research little secrets like taking it and putting it in aluminum foil and wrapping it up. And did you wrap any of your stuff up, or was it just open fit, a real slow cook, just help do it?
Right. We built a fire at 8:30 in the morning, and we cooked till 9 o'clock that night. It was a double rack. On the top rack, we'd put the meat we was working out of. In the bottom rack, we had cooking. We cooked all the time, you know. But no, we never wrapped anything up or anything to cook it.
That's for guys like me who don't know what we're doing.
Well, I've got some friends that's still into. Diane over there does things pretty well the same way.
I've been there.
And she does well with that little old store in Hawthorne. You know, it's not many people over there, but there's some good people over there, good barbecue people.
So what's the for somebody who wants to cook some good barbecue? Because when you think of barbecue, you think of these little reality shows, pit masters, and these guys, but they're cooking it kind of quick too.
Yeah.
What's the secret? Because you've got a lot of experience in it.
Well, you can enclose cookers like we got them now,
right?
And my people went to Illinois and helped those people develop a cooker that we could use. But it changed it a little bit. You know, ours was wide open. This one's closed up like an oven. But the product is still pretty good coming off of that. I hate to say it, I think it was a little better on the open pit, but it was also tough to teach somebody to cook it on an open pit, you know.
Could you meet the demand on an open pit versus now? Because now it's, you know.
Well, probably not. They get the meat. We used to get a hanging around, you know, weigh 80 pounds and bone it out and seam it out and cook it, break it down and cook it in pieces. Same way with ribs. We trimmed our own ribs, you know, and pork butts and things, and that's about all we had. We had hamburgers from where we butchered that cow's leg, you know, for the beef. But we had a very limited menu, and it you don't cook it in just 3 or 4 hours, you know.
Sure.
It takes time.
I think what's interesting when I think about the Sonny's brand itself is I've talked to a lot of folks. Friday night football game, I go to the Sonny's on Walter Road, the original Sonny's in Gainesville, Florida, and you go there and I'm like, yeah, well, I've met this guy, Sonny. They're like, huh? He's a real person? They think the cartoon mascot is that's it. And it's like, well, McDonald's has the clown, and Wendy's has the girl thing, Burger King has the king, which you're the king of barbecue, but Sonny's a real person who created the #1 barbecue franchise in the country, really. And I think I saw back in 2016, Sonny's Barbecue was rated #1 by dailymeals.com, which has been doing this since for about 13 years now, but really going through all the restaurants. So the barbecue's still good.
Yeah.
You've left a legacy.
I think the product is about as good as you can make it under the conditions you have to work under today,
Sure.
And like I say, I've got some good friends that's still in the barbecue business, and it's not like they want to make it a bad product, but they restricted on what they're allowed to do with it,
That makes it difficult,
Right.
especially when the EPA is coming out trying to measure what's coming out your stacks.
Right. Talking about the ribs, Copeland's out here used to be a big outfit.
Mm-hmm.
Grady Alday was one of the head honchos out there. He and Jay Hare and young kid that was around High Springs up there. I can't call his name now, but he is the one that talked me into buying this lot up here, Grady Alday.
Okay.
And I bought it, and I kept it. I paid about $35,000 for it, I think, and I just didn't feel like it was ready. And of course, Grady stayed after me. When you coming? We need you up there now. And I finally did, and it's been a good store.
Sure.
Lots of ways a good store,
Is there a competitive edge to you that your store you wanted to be one of the top stores or one of the stores that you own versus maybe the franchisees? Or did that not matter as long as everybody was doing good? Or
Well, yeah, it took, God, I don't know, we had probably 15, 18 stores before one ever done the volume that Waldo Road done. And we had increased the seating areas and everything on it, but the first store that beat us was one down in Fort Lauderdale. And they done more business one month than what Waldo Road done. Everybody had a jubilee.
I'd say so. We did it.
Yeah.
Something to celebrate.
Right. But it's, it is what it is. It's been great, and I think it's still great. There's a good friend of mine, and you may have met John Kirkpatrick. He's from Gainesville.
Remember John?
He was my insurance man when I started Waldo Road over there, and he told somebody he was selling insurance. We would get out after I closed and ride dirt bikes out through the woods and things, And he told somebody, he said, I'm going to try to get in the business. That boy's making a ton of money, and I'm selling insurance. Well, I think John today, his company owns about 25 stores.
Wow.
He's scattered all over, Of course, John's like me. He got too old. But he's got some kids. Ken's his head honcho, and he hired a boy a long time ago out of Ocala down there in that store. Chip Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
And Chip's a good restaurant man. And John's a good spokesperson. He's like me. He don't do much anymore. He got where he don't have to, you know. And
Did this barbecue restaurant ever take you to areas around the country to speak about it, how you built it, how you did it?
yeah, we was at the airport in Dallas. There was 4 or 5 of us had been somewhere out northwest, maybe to a football game when we played Nebraska or something out there, and they like to kill us.
Yep.
But we were sitting there waiting to catch our flight in Marion, my daughter was there, and she come with this little book. She said, "Dad, I want to show you something." And there was a 2 or 3 page article on Sonny's barbecue.
Wow.
And we wasn't even in the state of Texas, but we've been recognized. That you talking about the pit masters,
Yeah.
Everybody's a pit master anymore, but
Right.
I got some stuff at the house. I got a meat cleaver, the barbecue pit masters association sent me, and a plaque and stuff. But, just recently, I showed up down here at Alachua to receive a plaque from the first responders from back in
Wow.
at Waldo Road, 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We started out there in '68, so we've been there a while.
You have. And you've given back a lot.
Yeah, well, I like I say, I've got a big family,
Mm-hmm.
and most all of them, I imagine.
I do.
But, it's made my life a lot better, I don't know many sheetrockers or house painters, that could have done what we've done with the barbecue business.
Well, you took a restaurant. Number one, it's not just barbecue; it's really, really good barbecue, and it's a really good product. And then on top of that, you grew a business into 18-something stores before. Was it you franchised it after that?
Oh yeah, we had at one time. There was 54 stores when I sold, I think.
Mm.
And at one time, they had like one store doubling that. And then some of them fell by the wayside, after just history, some of them didn't make it. And I don't really know how many it is now.
Well, I'm going to confess to you about something. I had a gentleman tell me that he can cook better ribs than me. So I said, why don't we do a competition? So I took some ribs. I put them on a smoker. I want to say, I think it's 250 degrees for about 2 to 3 hours. Then I wrapped up aluminum foil.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we cheat and do it.
Well,
and it keeps the moisture in there, and it breaks
right.
it apart. We're supposed to rip that stuff off first.
Right.
Then I took it inside. This is what made him mad, too, because there were no rules. Who's got the best ribs? And we had family members test it for us, both at the same time. Well, I took some Sonny sweet barbecue sauce, and I put it on top of it, and I broiled it until it turned it caramelized it.
Uh-huh.
I pulled it out, I rubbed some more on it, did the same thing again. I pulled it out. Well, he didn't put any barbecue sauce on his. He just kind of had the natural flavor. And so when we tested it, all the women picked mine because he had a sweet flavor,
Right.
and I won.
Well, that's great.
So, I mean, in a way, I'm a pitmaster myself.
Right. Well, that's we went the only really competition that I went to was up in Cleveland one time. We went up there and my beans took first place.
There's no better beans.
Right. Everybody liked our beans, and that we started with an old dried navy bean out of a 100-pound gunny sack and cooked them in a pressure cooker. Had to quit that because they were blowing up. It killed the boy in Pensacola. It wasn't one of our people, but another barbecue joint.
Sure.
But it was a great bean. It finally got to the point where I couldn't make them in the restaurant. I had to get with companies we would cook the navy beans in a number 10 can, and then we had another company that made the sauce to go in them, And then the big secret that nobody else had, that slicer where we were slicing sandwiches.
Yes.
We'd get that stuff crumbs out of that and put it in our beans, and it just made all the difference in the world.
It's great barbecue. It's great Southern barbecue.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference. So there's different kinds of barbecue. You got Memphis barbecue. North Carolina, I want to say, does more. I think Memphis is maybe, I could be wrong, vinegar-like maybe.
Right.
And North Carolina is maybe vinegar mustard-like
Right.
barbecue.
Well, I had a good friend who went to university out here. He called me one day on Waldo Road and says, I need to come out there and talk to you. I want to get a carry out. And I said, well, come on. He come out, and he said he was head of the Flavette Village deal down on South 13th there, where the married vets live. He says, I need 350 pork luncheon specials, not in bulk, but he wanted them so he could just hand them out, you know. And he said, can you handle that? I said, Ed, sure we can handle it. Well, he, after he graduated from the university, he opened a store in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I went up there with a crew to help him. And Ed Tubal was the boy's name, and he's a great person. And I felt sorry for him after we got open. People said, man, this ain't barbecue, you know. This is sliced pork or something. And Ed, in the dining room, you know, he tell him, I know this is different, you know. It's a different barbecue, but you eat with me for 30 days and come back and let's talk about it. 2 years later, he was voted the best barbecue in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Wow.
He just flipped everybody, you know.
It's different.
Yeah, Ed's still in the business up there. He's
really,
like me. He got kids that look after him up there, you know.
Sure. Jake, that's where you're from, Charlotte?
Yeah, that's where I was born, actually.
Where'd you have the first? You've had Sonny's before?
Yeah, of course.
Up there? Here?
Mm-hmm.
You've had that Sonny's up there?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Been
been there
a while.
Oh, this was long. 45 years ago, I guess, when we opened Charlotte.
So you were a little younger at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was too. If we had to do it now, I don't believe I could make it.
Anybody who knows Sonny knows you're a huge Gator fan. Huge Gator fan.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Gators have been good to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a year after we opened, you go Waldo Road, and there'd be 40 students standing in line, dragging a beer cooler full of beer, waiting to get in, you know. And that's when I bought the property on 13th Street and built the second store over there. It was 3 years later, and we had it ready 3 or 4 days, but I held it till the same date that I opened Waldo Road because it had been so good, you know.
Did you, with the University of Florida, I know you were active, and I know you know Coach Spurrier.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did you ever create any relationships with other ball coaches around the Southeastern Conference? Because Sonny sort of was in all these states, and Bama, South Carolina, Georgia,
Right.
and into Tennessee.
Well, not so much in.
I would think Phil Fulmer likes some Sonny's barbecue.
Yeah, right. Steve was with the 49ers at that time on the West Coast. He'd come home in the summer and play golf, and we played golf every day, 5 days a week at a game for Golf and Country Club, you know. And I see still, Sonny's had a little 50th anniversary deal over on Archer Road, and Steve showed up, you know.
That's nice.
Yeah. He's got it going good out there where he's at, Spurrier's place out off Archer Road, you know.
Well, it took him a long time to get in the business with you, but he's in it now.
Yeah, right. But he's got a great restaurant out there.
So Sonny's Barbecue, you stay in touch with corporate office still? Bring you in for commercials here and there, periodically?
No, I got too old for that. I
Okay.
used to do some of it, you know, but I just kind of backed off. I got some friends like the people over in St. Augustine, they have an anniversary celebration or something. They asked me to come over, and other people out west, Tallahassee, I used to go once in a while when they had their anniversary, but I just got too old to do it.
You've done it for a long time.
Yes, I have.
All right, so I know a lot about you, but what's something that people don't know about you?
I don't know. My life been pretty open.
Yeah.
There's some things I'm not too proud of, but that was in my younger days before I got into barbecue business.
Sure.
And everything. I don't really know.
Well, I know outdoor stuff. I've covered that. I've covered Florida because I know because I'd watch TV and I see you sitting behind the bench.
Oh yeah,
a couple rows up there.
Right. Well, when we first started going to the basketball games, it was in the old Alligator Alley over there, old wooden seats, And so when they opened the O'Connell Center, I got 6 seats, the best in the house.
Yeah.
And then when they redone it here a while back, 2 or 3 years ago, it kind of changed it around, and they kept me down there, but I was right behind the bench where I wanted to be, so I could heckle Calipari and people like that.
You sit behind the visitor, the guest, huh?
But then I got where I couldn't see. Our other seats was up higher, and these, when they configured it,
A little
it was
lower.
floor level, So I got a great friend that managed 3 Sonnies down on the lower East Coast down there, the middle East Coast. She's with the university now, and she got me some great seats, when I just told her that walking up them steps was getting tough on me and Lucille, so she got us some good seats, and she's a great girl. That's another good life story.
Yeah.
She, her brother had 3 restaurants down there, and she was managing them for him, and then he sold out after I sold out. And Liz had applied for a job at the university, and we was over there at a ball game one night, basketball, and she come up and told me, said, "You know some of the people in the office there, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, I know about all of them, She said, "Well, you know Doug Brown?" I said, "Yeah, I know Doug." She said, "Well, could I get you to write me a letter for it?" I said, well, certainly, I don't mind that, Liz. And I looked up. I said, "Would it work just as well if I introduced you to him?" So he come walking up, and I hollered at him, and he come over. And Doug's told me a half a dozen times how glad he was, because she's just a great employee,
Did an awesome job.
Yeah. And
So here's my last question, Sonny.
huh?
Sonny, this is my last question.
Okay.
How'd you get the name Sonny?
Well, there's a story behind it. In 1929, that was a few years ago, my parents lived in Miami. And after I was about 12 years old, that's when the war started, 41. Daddy come home from work one day, and he told Mommy, he said, "Get things ready, we going back to Orange Heights." She said, "Well, Floyd, what are you talking about?" He said, "Just get everything you can get a hold of." And we packed everything we had in an old 31 Plymouth and moved to Orange Heights. And Daddy said, "They'll bomb Miami, but they ain't going to bomb Orange Heights."
No, they're not.
So that's why we come back. But while we were down there, when in 29, there wasn't no sound in movies. Al Jolson was the big movie star, but you had to read what he said. You know, they went to see one of his movies, and the name of the movie was Sonny Boy.
Mm.
Well, about halfway through the movie, Mama had to get up and hustle to the hospital to have me. And she said, we'll call him Sonny.
Wow.
And that's where it come from, you know.
And then the restaurant name Sonny's, it was Fat Boys at the very beginning?
Right. Now, Fat Boys was one Jesse McKellar, my cousin, owned, you know. And I changed the name of it after I'd been in business 2 or 3 years when I had everybody wanting to get in business.
That's the old phone.
Later, Bob, I'm busy.
That's all good. That's okay. So, anything else you can add about the stories? It's a phenomenal story about Sonny's Barbecue and how you created it and started it, and you raised a family, you grew a family, you fed a family.
Yeah.
You fed a lot of families.
Yeah, we got. I've still got I've lost a lot of family: mom and dad, 2 sisters and 2 brothers, and my wife, my son. But there's still some of us left, and I'm working with Gary Grunder now to try to get my affairs kind of in order, you know. But it's been a good ride. I got no regrets nowhere. I mean, it's just been super. You know?
When you walk into Sonny's, they know who you are?
Most of the time.
That means free meal every time. Lifetime.
Well, yeah. I've got a owner's card, discount card in my wallet.
Really? Okay.
You know, I can get up to $500 worth for about half price.
Yeah, well, and I don't know if Jake has a picture. It may not be in the file, but I saw it somewhere where there's a restaurant that has a tag with your name on it that when you come there to eat, that's your seat.
Yeah.
It's on the chair, but that's good stuff. Well, I appreciate you taking your time out of your day.
Well,
spend it with me. And
Ben, I appreciate the opportunity, really. I don't get around a whole lot anymore, but I enjoy talking to people.
Sure. Well, thank you. Jake, you like frogs? Frog legs? You ever had them?
I love frog legs. Yeah.
You've had them before?
Legs. Yeah.
Sound excited about it.
Are we getting some?
We might.
Yeah, I think I got some that we just got last week.
We'll connect and get them. Well, Sonny,
okay.
he is the king of barbecue.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's been a good ride.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on. As soon as this thing gets set up, I'll make sure you get to where you can hear it and your friends can hear it, and they can always hear the story about how Sonny's was created and where Sonny the name came from.
Right.
Because I did not know that movies didn't have audio, that you had to read before they had sound.
Oh yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Learn something every day.
Talking movies was a big thing when it come out, you know.
Well, it's kind of come back now when you watch videos and stuff. It's all about reading the
Oh,
text.
yeah.
How my wife, she turns down the volume. She likes to watch it. And I can't. I don't like it really, but she loves the closed captions on there. So, thank you, Sonny.
All comes full circle.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Thank you again.
All right.
Well, appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, sir.